Hello and welcome to the Aurum Vale, the worst dungeon in all of Final Fantasy XIV. Eat some food, turn on tank stance, and hold on to your butts, because this is the worst dungeon in the game. What makes Aurum Vale the worst dungeon in the game? Well, first off, it's ugly. There's pee all over the floor. There are these pee clouds that come out of the walls. If you step in the pee, you take damage. It's green and gray and nasty and ugly and all that. There's other things too, but we're going to go ahead and start talking about what we're doing right away, because we are actually doing the right thing here. So when you first come in as a tank, you want to tank right here in this little alcove. You could even play it super safe and pull back to get away from the frog. The reason you go this way is because it's the safest route to get to the first boss. The first boss, it's kind of deceptive because the first boss is just right there. It's right over there. But the problem is that there are all these frogs that are going to pull you in. And in addition to that, there are patrols here as well. So you want to generally hug the left wall and stay away from the frogs. So like this little sweet spot right here is fine. So you see the patrol that's coming back over here? If we got pulled in by that frog, the patrol would pull us in. That's why we have to stay here. I'm going to go ahead... Oh, no, I don't even need to pull it. Just let it go. So this one, slow and steady, wins the race. You're not wall-to-wall pulling here. I'm going to pull this, and I'm also going to pull the frog so I can get it to use its little... its thing on me. Or its suck-in, whatever you want to call it, draw-in effect. And now that I'm here, I have my camera backwards to the boss because I'm watching the patrol over here. If we have good DPS, we might be able to kill these three things before the patrol comes back. But if it doesn't, and someone like our player right there, Shade Aggro, picks up aggro, which it looks like he might... Nope. Okay. This is good. And now we can just head on into the first boss. That's how that first pull is supposed to go. You don't wall-to-wall it. You have to be very cognizant of that patrol there. And the frogs, too, because they can screw everything up. Moving on to the first boss, we're going to turn the boss around, and we are going to use this Moorball fruit right here to clear our debuff once we get to 2 stacks. So I'll be watching my enfeeblements bar, which I have right up here in the top right. There's 1 stack. Once I get to 2, I'm going to go run over here and use this Moorball fruit, or I'm going to eat it to clear the stacks off. That's all you have to do for this fight. So I was talking a little bit earlier about what makes this dungeon so bad. And there's lots of patrols, there's lots of places where you can get trained. The bosses are weird. They have these mechanics that you don't really see too often at this level. There was one of the bosses that we're going to see here in a little bit. I believe his name is Coin Counter or Coin Keeper or something. None of his attacks in the past were telegraphed. They were all, you just had to know what was what. And at this level, that's asking too much of players, and he resulted in killing many a team. And then you also have the big Moorballs, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but they have something called Bad Breath, and if you get hit with bad breath, it is a very, very bad time. You are effectively useless for the duration of all the effects. You get hit with like 8 enfeeblements. It's quite terrible. So you want to avoid getting hit by bad breath at all costs. And no other dungeon or content at this level that I know of has that. I'm sorry, they're not Moorballs, or Gold Vines is what they're called. So normally when I'm going through a dungeon, I'm usually saying like, okay, this is where you can chain pull, or this is where you shouldn't chain pull, this is where, and all that. It's very different in Aurum Vale. I'm going to pick up aggro on the Gold Vine here. I'm going to turn it around. Now, normally I only turn bosses around, right? If you've watched any of my videos in this playlist, you've seen I turn bosses around. But the Gold Vine, I'm going to turn around because of that bad breath right there. If your team gets hit by that, it's just awful. It's terrible. So So you got to turn those around too in this dungeon. Moving on to the next pull before the second boss. I know we're here. I don't like it when people do that, especially in this dungeon. I'm just going to go to the right, and I'm going to pull these, and then I'm going to move around to the left and fight right here in the middle. And I'm going to just fight right here. I'm going to blow all my cooldowns. You don't need to worry about that pack over there. But what I've found is that if you try to, like, scoot in between the pole that's here, the pack that's there, and the pack that's over there, you'll end up just triggering both of them. So my approach is just trigger one and then do the last fight before Coin Counter. That's his name. We'll go ahead and aggro the boss and turn it around because he does have location-based attacks. Your team will appreciate this being turned around. And again, this boss has actually been nerfed quite a bit because back in the day, I don't believe his attacks were telegraphed, and you would just have to know, like, hey, if he's looking at you, get out of the way, or if he's using the 100-ton swipe, then you need to go here. So we don't have to do that anymore. Now it's just like a normal boss. It's really just tank and spank and avoid the AoEs, and that's it. And as you can see, the fight is half over, and there's nothing really too crazy happening here. Wrong way. All right, so the second boss is dead. We're now going to move on to the next set of pulls, which, since we do have some cooldowns, we can aggro some stuff here, and I'm going to use an AoE attack to pull in aggro there. And you know what? I'm just going to stay right here, actually, because there's also a patrol here that can mess with you, too. I am going to blow all of my cooldowns now and just going to continue to AoE attack everything here. Now, I could wall-to-wall here. It is possible, but it's dangerous because these things, it just is in this dungeon. Just trust me. It's slow and steady wins the race in Aurum Vale, not wall-to-wall pulling. From my experience. Maybe yours is different. I don't know. But there's lots of patrols. There's lots of areas where you can get trained. So another way to look at it in Aurum Vale is slow is safe, safe is fast. You're gonna, if you try to wall-to-wall all this stuff, you're going to put yourself into a big risky situation just to save yourself, like, you know, a minute or two, and then if you wipe, it takes even longer. So, yeah. Anyway, all these little moorball fruits, you want to try to kill them before the eggs pop, just so you can reduce the amount of dudes that you're have to kill in this room here. There's the bad breath. Get out of the way at all costs. I guess I will go ahead and just go over here. It looks like our samurai is very anxious to get out of here, which I understand. But at the same time, bad things happen if you don't let the tank dictate the pace. Usually there's a reason for things, but, you know, whatever. We should be fine. It's just two guys. But as you can see, I don't really like it when DPS start doing all this stuff and they take over. Like, I know, dude, I want to get out of here too, but I'm not willing to risk wiping the party for saving a few seconds. This is the last pull, so there's nothing to wall here. You can just kill this. So we're at the last boss. We've only been here for 11 minutes, and this can be a very deceptively quick dungeon. Your experience may differ here. I'm going to make sure that everyone is here. Very good. But sometimes you can spend a half an hour in this dungeon if you're not careful. For the last boss, we're just going to turn it around, and it's going to do a combination of the mechanic that we saw in the first fight, along with the bad breath mechanic. So we have to turn it around, or we have to point it toward a wall. And we're just going to keep an eye on our enfeeblements bar, and once we get 2 stacks of the debuff, that is when we will eat a fruit, and that will clear the debuff. The other mechanic in this fight, besides the bad breath, is his AoE attack. Not really an AoE attack. He spawns little fruits, and you just have to kill them before they spawn. That's it. So there he goes. He's going to move over there, and he's going to spawn the seedlings, whatever they are. The fruit, there you go, the fruits. And now you just want to kill them before they spawn. And they're dead. So now that they're dead, I have 3 stacks. I'm going to go ahead and eat a fruit now. And our healer has died. So I'm going to go ahead and start using some of my cooldowns, but I am not going to blow them all at the same time. I'm going to use them very slowly. So this is worn off. I'm now going to use Rampart, because I need this to. I want this to last for the entire fight. Now we do have a red mage. The red mage should be able to resurrect the our scholar, but it doesn't look like that's what they're doing. Looks like we're just going to LB it, and we should be done. I'm going to eat a fruit now, clear off my 2 stacks, and I'm going to use another defensive cooldown. We're at 8%. I'm very low on health. And at this point, it's going to do the AoE attack again, or the spawning of the seedlings. And I'm just going to just bring the boss down, and that should be it. So we did some damage mitigation there at the end of the fight, but like I was saying, you can die and get wiped in this dungeon because there are a lot of mechanics that are not very forgiving. And as you saw there, our scholar did that. So that's what happens. Anyway, be careful when you go to the Aurum Vale. It is quite a dangerous dungeon, and it is deceptively short. You can think that it's going to be really quick, and then you're going to do everything that you would normally do in a normal dungeon, and then all of a sudden you're like trained and you're wiped and you're trying to run back through all of these pea puddles, and it's just a nightmare of a dungeon. I had a good run there, and I'm glad that I recorded a good run. This way you can see what that dungeon is supposed to look like. But if you don't have a good tank, or if you have a tank that just doesn't know where to tank, or doesn't know, the pacing of the dungeon, you're going to die, you're going to wipe, and it's going to be a tough time. So I hope you found this video helpful and useful. If you didn't, you must know everything, because this is like the most educational, informative video that I think I've made on this channel. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I know a lot about Aurum Vale because I hate that dungeon. I hate it. If you haven't been able to determine that. If this video wasn't helpful, maybe check out another one. There might be something else on the channel that you might like. Anyway, we will see you in the next one. Bye!